Welcome to Baseball Bits on Deck. I am Mark Corbett, and with me, of course, is Mr. Matt Germain. And Matt, how are you doing this fine and wonderful evening?
I'm trying to stay warm. The weather's getting cooler up here, so we're enjoying whatever little baseball I can get, even the ones down in Australia that I'd like to peek over at. They're keeping me warm, Mark.
There you go. That's going on. There's ball going on, I guess, in Mexican League, Dominican League, oh, everywhere. And then we're looking to, we'll talk later on too about the Women's Pro Baseball League will be coming up later on this year. They're going to have a draft tomorrow. And there's been a lot going on in the news as far as the development of a new league over the last few years. And it's finally coming to fruition. It's Baseball United. I love the sound of that. I mean, it sounds like everybody coming together. It has a nice fresh sound to it, but it sounds like really a lot of people who are going away, talent who are walking away from us. The United Arab Emirates, I believe, is starting up this league, and I'll let you kind of intro some of this, but I've definitely got some remarks on it.
So there's four teams for the initial season, and this is the first season that it's actually happening. They're playing all in one stadium, so the teams don't travel around,
Right.
which makes it a lot simpler. So it's all in the UAE, in the United Arab Emirates, which I've been to. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Everything is
wow.
new, everything is shiny. But they have two teams from the UAE, so from Abu Dhabi and one from Dubai, and then they have one from Pakistan and one from India. The teams I think are called Karachi and Mumbai. So those are the four teams. But there's MLB flavor to it. So some of the owners that put this on, there's a Hall of Famer, or two Hall of Famers actually, Barry Larkin and Adrian Beltre, who invested in this league. And Adrian Beltre, I know, had a hand in this because Robinson Chirinos and Elvis Andrus are also investors in this league, and so they're bringing some sort of attraction to it in terms of knowing which baseball players are there. And there's an ex-Rays player that's part of one of these teams in Justin Williams. I know the savvy Rays fans will remember that name. He's an outfielder, and he's having success early on in that league. But essentially, they only play 9 games each. It's not a full, long season yet. They're just sort of getting their feel for it. So for anybody that doesn't know, cricket is the go-to sport that would be similar to baseball in those areas. Now, the thought process is, and a lot of scouts in Major League Baseball have done this, they wanted to get players over from India and these other cricket heavy teams because they've got live arms. Like they're really, really, really great athletes. They're not, to be laughed at. Yes, they wear these kind of uptight outfits. They're not very athletic looking sometimes when you're looking at them I don't know what they call it. I imagine it's a field. But so they're using a field in Dubai that's actually made for cricket, but also for rugby. So it's actually called the Sevens Grounds in Dubai. And so it can seat as little as 6,500 people and as many as 37,000. So it's basically modifiable to whatever, sport and feeling that they want to have. So, they minimize travel costs. They minimize the amount of teams, but they're getting some sort of eyes or eyeballs in that region on baseball, which, to be honest, if the Saudis are, and I say Saudis, or the United Arab Emirates people and India and Pakistan are willing to invest to start paying the players that are usually playing cricket, and they're willing to pay them more, chances are that they'll convert from cricket to some of these sports, but that'll take time, right? So there are Indian players, there are, players from other countries that are part of this league. But I think what you and I will probably end up leaning towards is how many players end up getting poached,
Yeah.
you know, over time from our leagues, assuming that this grows and that the timing changes. Because right now, you could argue that it essentially becomes another winter league. right? So you could have the lead you could have the Mexican League, the ABL, and this would be another alternative. So players could go there to get some work in the winter and then go back and even no one's the wiser, right? It doesn't change anything. It just gives you another opportunity to get some innings and at bats in. So that could be an attractive argument because you're actually getting paid. So let me just look up this next amount. I think I have it in my posts. They don't get paid very much. So I think over the course of a season, it's supposed to be about 29,000 that they can make, right? Over the 9 games. Um, or wait, it's up to $18,000 a month, right? And I don't know which dollars those are. So
Wow.
you can take in as much as 60,000 over the entire season. That's what it was.
Do you
Um,
get a castle as well and
I don't think so.
servants and a personal tiger? No? Okay.
It's a minimal amount of games, but here's the interesting part, Mark, and this is one will be something that you kind of I don't know if you've been reading what I posted on Blue Sky, but there's some weird rule changes that they're using as part of that league. We talked about the Savannah Bananas and how they're throwing caution to the wind a lot of ways when it comes to how much, they're changing in terms of what you're able to or not able to do. So here's a few of them, okay? One of them is something that I could see Rob Manfred suggesting. It's called an inning ending fireball rule. So
Okay.
if the pitcher strikes out a batter under certain conditions, which they call a fireball, then the inning ends immediately, no matter how many outs there were.
Oh,
You can
oh,
have a designated runner up to 3 times per game. There's no ties. If there's a tie at the end of 9 innings, there's no extra innings. It's home run derby. That's how it's decided,
jeez.
right? And then here's the one. So there's a money ball. Okay, this
Mhm.
one would really catch on. So the ex it doubles the runs on a play. So let's say you have a money ball at bat. It's called by the team. Let's say you're in a moment, bases are loaded, such and such is at the plate. The team goes, puts up their card, and they say, okay, this is a money ball play. So it's the whole at bat becomes a money ball. So any runs that are scored at that point are double the value. So if 2 runners come across, it's actually worth 4 runs because you called the money ball.
Oh gosh. Are you insane? This is
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, Jesse Cole must be starting a lawsuit right now for infringement, man. I tell you this sounds like there's a bit of a banana ball in there. My gosh.
They get to call the money ball 3 times in each game. So that's it. So in theory, Mark, when we look back at all the strategy that they've taken away from managers
Yeah.
in Major League Baseball, you could argue there's more strategy in this Baseball United League than there is in Major League Baseball,
Oh
right?
my gosh. Wow. Wow. That's just insane. I mean, I love it. There's a lot more than I would have guessed. I mean, I was just looking at names. Oh, Barry Larkin. I'm looking at Mariano Rivera and Adrian Beltre and the other ones, and Robinson Cano. I'm looking at what all the Hall of Famers there.
Mhm.
But I thought, well, this is just a new venture. This is just something where they're getting some guys high profile invested in this. But I had no idea it had all the rest of this insanity tied to the game.
So it's meant to bring in a bit of that Savannah banana feel, right?
Yeah.
It's got that kind of pizzazz to it, which I think, for a region that doesn't have the history, doesn't have the oh, you're changing this, and then the immediate reaction is no, don't touch my game. So they don't have that. So for them, it's starting fresh and it's exciting. And then they get to, that's what that is. And then, so it's great for them. They get to build it the way they want. So it's almost like the Savannah Bananas are setting up a league. Now there's no dancing, there's no,
No, no, no, no.
sketches and whatever. That's so far ways away
Yeah.
from happening in that region. But the concept is sort of intriguing, right? And then you combine that with the winter league play. I mean, like unlike the Savannah Bananas, they don't have so many distractions that you can't concentrate on playing baseball.
Yeah.
So if you're a minor leaguer or a major leaguer heading over there to get some work in, like it's still valuable baseball, right? And I don't think they have anything like StatCast where you can tell how fast people are pitching yet. They don't have the tracking elements to know exactly what's going on. And I haven't watched any of the games yet to get a feel for it and what the caliber of play is like.
Wow.
But I think it's, it I always say more baseball is better, right? No matter where it is, more baseball is better. But the thing is, like we said before, is they do live in an environment where if they wanted to compete directly with Major League Baseball, they could. And so that is the more worrisome aspect, right? And I was there in the what would be their winter and is, our summer,
Right.
and it was still over 30 degrees Celsius. So, there's nothing stopping them from having year-round baseball, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was wondering early on, you were talking about the appeal when you're looking at they have soccer and cricket as institutions there. And I know doing a little bit of homework, looked at the population of Dubai and realized about 90% of the folks are foreigners.
Mhm.
And I know you've been over there, so you got a sense of that. So the appeal, I mean, but even if you look at foreigners, you're not seeing US, you're seeing Pakistan, you're seeing other, a lot of other Indian countries there. Don't get me wrong, there's other countries as well. But I was wondering if that audience, if like I said, they're so fixed probably already. If you have a culture that says this is my game, I mean, trying to pull somebody away from basketball and introduce them to cricket would be difficult over here. So to take somebody from cricket and move their high interest to something like baseball, I don't know how that's going to go.
So the thing is, uh, like if you look at soccer, right? Soccer does not play consistently the same number of games as baseball would. So baseball is like a 6 day a week sort of thing. Soccer is about 2 days a week on average, right? For a team. And then depending on what tournaments you're a part of, you might have an extra game here or there. But it's a more loose tempo when it comes to whatever. And so if you're a fan, right, I think if as long as you're part of that city or region,
Mhm.
you'll more than likely have the attention span to dedicate to this. But I also think it's a fact that they love to get entertained. So if you go to Dubai, it is the entertainment capital of the world, really. I
Yeah.
know people think Las Vegas is, but no, like well, Las Vegas is getting Formula One soon, I guess. That's another one that'll make it more international, so that's great. So they could be sort of even, right? So you've got the East and the West. It's really whatever you can throw at them to entertain them, they'll find a way to get crowds into it. So that's the other fear, right? Like the amount of money that they sunk into the golf in that region just to build. So you think of that clientele, right? Uh, you're in the middle of a desert. How many golf courses are there out there, right? Like there's
Yeah.
only it's like few because you got to water them, and then that's a costly event. I played in Dubai, and I played at the same place where Tiger Woods goes, and they put our names on the board and everything. And it was in the middle of the summer, like their summer, and it was 55 degrees Celsius. And I drank 4 liters of water, but I never went to the washroom once, Mark. It was one of those days.
Oh, brother.
So
Hydrate,
it gets
hydrate, hydrate.
hot. It gets really hot. But
Oh,
so when they're able to bring golf to the limelight and really uh, buy their way into the sport and sell it, as hard as they have,
yeah.
and with they're intelligent also in the way that they do it, right? Getting Greg Norman, getting people that are loud, boisterous, get the voice out there, and that gets attention, regardless of whether it's positive, negative. But they make enough noise that it attracts people in, and it makes, oh, what's this live? What's this live thing? And so they've done that. They've also brought Ronaldo in soccer, right? They
Yeah.
went after the very best player in the world at the time. They said, listen, we want to give you as many buckets of money as you can handle. And there you go. They bring the name that kind of carries the message of what it is that they're building. I think baseball there is no doubt it's always going to be behind soccer and cricket in that
Yeah.
region. That's not the question. But the question is, can it be viable enough to be a money-making machine for the owners and the groups that invest in this thing? And I think that's why you see so many Major League Baseball names get, brought in is because they know they need to do, yes, the marketing side, but they also need some money to get this thing off the ground and get some sort of traction before they know how big it could become.
I hear a lot of the players and such from interviews referring to the owner, and I can't pronounce his last name, and evidently they can't either because they refer to him by his first name, Cash. And I said, "Yeah, cash money, baby. That's that's what you need with something new like this." And I was looking at him standing out there on Barry Larkin Field, is what they're calling it, I think, during the games,
Mhm.
and I looked across the backstops of all the outfield, and I'm seeing Coca-Cola. I'm seeing KFC, Shake Shack. They've already got a lot of sponsors that are here from the U.S. that are there on those boards out there. Now, I don't know if that's for baseball only, or is this something that may have already been there for cricket, et cetera? But it's interesting to see that the West is already out there doing sponsorships on that field. And I'd be curious to learn more about that. And Matt talked about the capacities, right? Around 6,500. Yeah.
6,500 to 37,000. So again, it can be modified based
Heartbeat.
on what it is that they want to do, right? So that's the genius. I think the Japanese do this as well with some of their stadiums where they can convert it from baseball to soccer. So there's actually a full field that comes out of the ground and replaces the other field. And there's a
Freaking
swap that happens. Yeah. So
Transformers baseball
it
field.
pretty much. Yeah. If you're gonna build a stadium, like especially when you're in densely populated areas and,
Yeah.
land there's a reason they build the Palm Islands out on the water in the Gulf of Oman because
Right.
that's or not Gulf of Oman, it's actually the Arabian Sea. But anyways, the stadium itself, I mean, it's always going to be a question of eventually do they build each their own stadium and what would that look like? But I think the travel is, if you're only going to play 9 games, you may as
Yeah.
well just stay in the same city. But eventually, if you're going to ask people to be named from that city, you're going to
Yeah.
want to play there. You
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yeah. If I'm Mumbai, I'm like, hey, where's my home team?
Yeah.
Oh, they're over in Dubai. Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's going to have that loyalty. We talk about loyalties all the time, being from Tampa,
Mhm.
having fixed loyalties to the team. But I'm curious to see also, Matt, have you seen if they have any kind of broadcasting rights or anything they're doing with it?
Not yet. I haven't been able to find any information on where I imagine like in those regions you would see it and you would be exposed to it. But like anything else, I mean, I guess I have the ability to get a VPN and get you put myself as the United Arab Emirates and see what pops up about it. But because the ABL was the same way for a while, you weren't able to log into any of their games unless you were from Australia.
Yeah.
And a lot of their TV networks do the same thing. Like my wife liked MasterChef Australia, and you had to wait until the black market got a hold of it, and then you could watch it on Daily Motion, right? And it was the way that you did it during pandemic. But yeah, so I think they'll get there. Like I'm sure they have a deal, but I mean, if you're only doing 9 games, season for each team, and then maybe a little playoff, I don't know exactly what the format's going to be for that. But you're not talking ludicrous amounts of money for that. So I imagine, I'd be more curious to see next year. So now
Yeah.
that they get the data that they get and they get a reaction from fans, they might tweak some rules. They might, add a team or two and then really kick it off next year. So what I anticipate we see if it has success is that, it grows to maybe double the number of games, to 18, maybe 25 games max. And
Wow.
then they go from there and they start building. So that's the question. So then, okay, now if you're talking 25 game season, you're leaking into early November and going all the way to February, maybe. It depends on your time frame of how many games you want to have in between. Um, so yeah, the modification of the season and the timing of it, I think will be, and I honestly, Mark, I have no idea when the cricket seasons, quote unquote, are, when the games take place, when the tournaments take place, if they have the World Cup and whatever else that they want to have. I don't know anything about cricket whatsoever. So there, I imagine there's some sort of synergy to build with that, depending on what the logistics of changing the field over from one to the other would be. But yeah, like I said, it's better to have more leagues than not enough.
Yeah.
It's nice to bring the Middle East into baseball a little bit deeper. We're about to see the WBC 2026. I would love to see a team from the United Arab Emirates or India or Pakistan being in there. That would be awesome. Like just bring more baseball teams around.
Amen, brother. Wow. Well, when you first pointed this out to me, because I'd been completely in the gray, I was more concerned because I was looking back to like the Live Golf,
Mhm.
LIV, and thinking how that has been such a loggerhead situation between that organization and PGA. I mean, they're working with a merger now. In its early days, Greg Norman was the first one to really kind of start up with Live Golf over in Saudi Arabia. And he was a pariah.
Yeah.
He was a pariah after that, brother. And I think the only reason that the PGA and Live are even talking is because Greg Norman has stepped down.
Mhm.
Now, the top golfers today still in the PGA said they don't want anything to do with it. Now, and Jack Nicklaus the other day. I don't know if you saw he got a $50 million judgment. Did you see this?
No,
He
I did not. Okay.
okay. So the Golden Bear himself, he is retired long ago. The Nicklaus name, he's done a lot. And he had a company that he kind of stepped back from. Well, that company put out news that he was all supporting LIV and kind of putting PGA to the side. Oh yeah,
Oh
his
man.
own company, brother. So he winds up suing him for defamation because he hadn't said those things. And he'd been more neutral about it than anything.
Mhm.
But that judgment, I think, was just last week. They gave $50 million to Jack, the Golden Bear. So,
From his own company that has to
yeah.
pay.
Jeez, man.
I wonder if he'll reinvest it in that same company.
Oh, Lord. I don't know. But the funny thing is, Jack, from what I've read on him, he's of the mindset that he's going to follow whatever PGA follows with it. So if he's not advocating for or
Mhm.
against that particular, those two working together. But it is interesting because, see, that was seen as a rival organization. And with what we're talking about here with Baseball United and how they are today, that doesn't seem to be an issue.
Not yet.
Not
But
yet.
it has the potential to become a conflict.
Yep.
So if they have success, because right now I think it was genius of them to do it in the winter. Right now, nothing's going on. MLB does not feel threatened at all because of the timing, more than likely. And they're probably just monitoring it like we are off to the side, interested. Oh, what is this? And then again, it's if they do, let's say they do 25 games next year or 18, and it
Yeah.
goes really well. And then they decide to do a full season, and they're like, "Well, you know what? If we're doing a full season, and then it changes that whole train of thought. And at that point, if you're doing a full season, you're knocking on the door of MLB players who are free agents and say, "Hey, come over here, and we'll pay
Yeah.
you a little extra than what you would make over on the other side." So then, what does that Major League Baseball player do? Right? That's the I don't want to say it's scary because it already happens with Japan and Korea, but generally speaking, the guys who go to Korea and Japan are like what we would call 4A players, right? They're players that really they've outlived the AAA status, but they can't really get regular role in MLB. So they go to Japan or Korea, try to upgrade their profiles, work on things that they normally wouldn't be able to work on because they don't get as much time. And then they come back and they make, like, Cody Ponce is about to get a contract in Major League Baseball this year because he did something like that, right? Anyways, there's lots of other names that have done it. The point is more, if you're gonna have this league, um, there's other opportunities that exist. So we talk about the scary part where yes, they can poach players and they can increase the costs of players generally. So people blame that exact thing on soccer, right? So Barcelona will steal a player from the EFL, the Premier League, and then they'll pay so much money that it just becomes ludicrous amounts of money. So at what point does it stop, right? Let's say they had targeted Shohei Ohtani when he was a free agent, and let's say they had brought him there. Then you're sitting there as Major League Baseball go, well, the best player in the world is in Saudi Arabia or in United Arab Emirates. He's not playing in our league. Like, so then, what's your claim to fame sort of thing, right? So, so I think it would behoove Major League Baseball and that league, if ever it does get traction and become successful, to sit down as mature adults and instead of competing for the same players, help them set up their own recruiting environment within their own nations so that they have players to draw from that are local and not international, right? As much as possible, or at least for the majority of them. And the other thing I'll throw out there, Mark, remember we were talking about relegation and with Lou and about how that would bring some, honesty to the bottom dwellers in Major League Baseball. That's a soccer style kind of thing to put in play, right?
Yeah.
It's from the EFL. It's that kind of model. So what if you did the same thing when it comes to soccer tournaments around the world? So while the seasons are going on or whatever in both regions, you have a world tournament, right? Where you just I think it's called, I can't remember the name of it. There's one they play in Europe where each club will play, like the higher end ones will play in a tournament, but it's haphazard. Like it's one this month, one that month, one the other month, whatever. And it happens
Huh.
through the year
Yeah.
so that it doesn't really take away all of your season or all of your time. So there's a lot of scheduling, juggling to have to do, but it promotes the game like to a wider audience and to a bigger stage, right? So it kind of upgrades without being the World Series or without being the All-Star game or something like that. It gives them the opportunity to say, "Oh, look, what I think what was it called? I can't remember. Let's say the team from Dubai is playing the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? And they're having, part of that tournament, they clash. Well, that's an event that a lot of people are going to have interest in. They say Dubai and Los Angeles, like the names automatically get their attention, right? So I think there's an opportunity there if Major League Baseball really wants to become an international product, which I think the NBA has become because of similar events that take place in terms of tournaments in Europe and in Asia, like you've got to start paying attention to those things. The WBC is one of those events that helps, but it's so small and tiny, and every 3 years that it almost gets forgotten in between, right? It's
Yeah.
not a constant. So, yeah, that's what I
Well,
would throw out there.
well, I want to share with you, as if you get older, as I have,
Mhm.
those lapses of time from the 3 years of WBC, they seem to creep up real quick. But no, I'm with you, brother. Yeah, I like the idea that there's times like the whole idea of MLB and 162 games. I would love less games and more flexibility to do other things. I mean, the
Mhm.
World Series, the whole postseason's a whole other group of games on top of that. But if we went down, I know we've talked about this before, going down to shave off maybe 20, as much as 20 of those games, and find a way to share the game maybe elsewhere. Do more of those ones like we do one or two a year. I mean, we start off over in England, or we've gone over somewhere else where we're going to do it in Mexico or the Dominican Republic. But let's do more of those. Let's do more of those and have less games. MLB has done some, has been very proactive in the last couple of years, for good or ill, with some new rules and some things along that nature. But to see what they're doing with United Baseball, like I said, it sounds like Jesse Cohen. I love it. So it says the Fireball.
The fireball and the money ball, right? So the fireball, I think, is I don't think that one's as relatable. Like I don't think people would really gravitate to it right away, and they would get confused as to what is deemed a fireball moment. Like I don't know how you call that. And to me, it just ends things before they even get more intriguing, right? But
Well,
I
let's go with
do think
Moneyball then. I'm
the
sorry.
money ball, I think, is the one that I could see creeping into the minors. Maybe they put it in A ball and they say, okay, we'll do this and we'll do one a game, right? Sort of like just one time a game, you get to call the money ball and it's, double the runs on that at bat. Um, I don't know, but it is intriguing. All I'm gonna say with that is as soon as you introduce it to Major League Baseball, all statistics evaporate, right? It's like the league stats before and the league stats after because you're putting a definite rule change in that you can't really measure compared to other players that came before and after. So um, yeah, I could see it just because we've seen it in the All-Star games, like where, they have the golden balls or they have the pucks that are worth more when they're shooting and yada yada yada. Like there's every league has seemingly gone to this, extra value for a certain ball. And in the home run derby, they have I don't think it's always called the golden. Is it the golden ball? I
We got
can't
no,
remember.
we got Manfred's Golden Bat if you want that.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah, they have those that are worth more money or more whatever. So, um, yeah, I definitely think the money ball is one that they'll be intrigued by and maybe bring in because, like I said, it's Savannah Banana-ish, but it's not the full Monty.
yeah, we're not going to see him out there doing a dance and all of that, and peeling
Yeah.
off layers of clothes. Okay, no matter how hot
Maybe
it is.
maybe before we die, Mark, we'll see one of those dances. But it might be for different reasons.
Mm. Oh, okay, we'll let that one fly. Oh, brother. I'll tell you what, well, I'm excited about that. I feel a lot better about this after having just learned initially about it, because I thought, oh my gosh, this is just going to be one other startup that's going to be a conflict with MLB. But you've given me a much better understanding of that. It sounds very exciting. And the one thing I was mentioning about Greg Norman and Liv and PGA and being loggerheads at the very beginning, but with this, I mean, they've been developing this over a few years, and we're talking about the people that are in it and Hall of Famers. You talk Barry Larkin, Riviera, Mariano, and geez, my knees. You want to attract people, and I understand some of the managers and coaches there are such that it's attracting players if they have nothing else that they have that they absolutely want to do. This is something that attracts them quite a bit.
I could even see some Major League Baseball if they do keep it, if they do decide to keep it in the winter.
Yeah,
I could see some affiliations taking place eventually, like in some way, shape, or form. Sort of like what the Rays have with the Perth Heat and the ABL. It's
right.
not a it's not a formalized agreement that is like, okay, they're known as an affiliate of the Rays. And I think now they have a Yankees prospect on board. They have a Jays prospect. They have a Texas Rangers prospect, and then the three Rays prospects with them as well.
Wow.
But that kind of arrangement where the teams do need extra innings and extra playing time. And to be honest, like how cool would it be if you're a minor leaguer, you're making peanuts, and all of a sudden the team offers for you to go to play in Dubai? I don't know many
Oh yeah.
baseball players that are gonna say no to that. So, um, yeah, it'll be a life experience as well as a baseball experience, is what I mean.
You were talking earlier about 4A players and going to other countries,
Mhm.
and my mind went immediately to Bob Seymour.
Yes.
And I Ray, we just recently, I guess, was he DFA'd or how'd that work out?
They released him so he could actually pursue, and he wasn't the only one. They did it with Forrest Whitley as well.
Yeah.
So both of them are going to end up in Asia, chasing, or actually, Bob is actually signed. So he's with the Buffalo Oranks, I think they're called.
Yeah.
The same league that had a lot of stars, play for them. So our league, same team. So it's a very, very strong organization, and I can see him having a lot of success. Like there's been a lot of players that have been able. I think Lewin Diaz is one that's over there right now. He just hit 50 home runs in a KBO, and he's one of the free agents that a lot of people are pushing to come back to Major League Baseball as a first baseman. So anybody that misses out on there's a good four or five really strong first base free agents. They could dive into his status, and the Yankees would be one that I could see saying if they could actually move Ben Rice somewhere, um, or give him more time behind the plate, or move Giancarlo Stanton because he's just getting older
Yeah.
and he's getting to that point. I don't know how they would do that. But anyways, there's a lot of teams. Let's say the Mets miss out on Alonso, he could end up there. There's a lot of value to going over to that league because it forces you to be a different type of hitter. So the pitchers, and we've seen it in the WBC, the Japanese pitching is excellent.
Oh yeah.
And they are good at changing speeds, and they're good at command. So those are things that will get you as a hitter to adopt a different approach and work on different skills than you normally would if you were still remaining in the minors and trying to earn that MLB playing time. At the same time, you're able to be out of that environment of constantly hearing the same things and finally having a different voice over there tell you something in a different
Yeah.
way, which can be extremely beneficial. It's just a refreshing, kind of, oh, okay, I'll try this, I'll try that. And so you're trying different things that end up getting the most out of your performances. And so there's a lot of good value to be had from it, in my opinion. I'm surprised more people don't do it. There's a lot of AAA players you see sometimes you're like, man, that guy deserves a shot, and
Yeah.
they just can't get it because of whatever team they're on sometimes.
Well, I want to keep watching Bob, see how he does. And like you're saying, hearing something different, hearing a different voice, hearing a different direction, sharpening a game differently than you might have thought that talent would have gone otherwise, and maybe making them a better ball player just because of that separate experience and separate guidance. Maybe they wind up back here again. Who knows? So I
Mhm.
don't know.
I
But
could see it. Yeah, I could see Bob coming back for sure in the next 2 years. And if he does, I think he'll be a very strong power hitter that hits for a better average than he would have had otherwise. So,
well, and a
yeah.
lot of people are going to miss Bob. I know a lot of MLB announcers are really upset because they no longer have a Bob they can refer to.
Yeah. For one season, we got to see two Seymours on the same team. I
There you
mean,
go.
come on, that's history right there. You can't beat that, Mark. We had a
Oh,
Bob and two Seymours. I mean, that deserves some sort of prize.
hey, I went over to St. Pete the other day, and
Cool.
I drove over there and I took a peek. There's still a couple of men walking around the top of the dome. Things are being checked out. I think everything's going to get done in time. That's what Ken Babby, the CEO of the Rays, has said. I expect as much. Had to stop by Ferg's, man. That little bar. When you come down here, brother, that's where we're going to go. We got to go to Ferg's.
Sounds
But
good.
yeah, yeah. So they're going to be there for a bit. St. Pete's very happy right now, knowing that they're going to have the race for a couple more years. So we'll see what else they're going to do with the Trop in the future. But yeah, it was good to see the Trop looking better. I drove by and uh, just work being done. Cars are in the parking lot and all that. So it's good
I'm
news.
I'm very curious. If ever you get a chance to talk to any of them, ask them if they're planning on keeping the upper portions open all season long,
Oh man.
and what the packages would be for those seats. Because I'm curious to see, what their vision is in terms of trying to attract as many people as possible. So, in my opinion, if you can get somebody in those upper seats for $2, by all means, bring him in for $2. Like pack that house up and then make it an environment that's loud, that's boisterous, that gets, the buzz going. I think that's a lot of fun, and that's what makes baseball the best is when you're actually part of a huge crowd and people are chatting and they're in the game and I, just from the concessions themselves, parking and then the $2, you're going to make your money back and then some. Yes,
Oh
they
yeah.
may not have spent as much money in terms of going to a lower bowl, but then they probably would have stayed home. So, in a lot of cases. So, anyways, we'll see what that ends up looking like. But Mark, the team is going to be different.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can guarantee you right now because the changes that are happening, I think 27 players out of the organization have left, or 28 now. Um, 28, Mark.
That's
That's a lot
that's
of,
yeah, that's a lot, babe. That's a whole lot.
and we're November 18th. Like we haven't gone into the whoa, like Rule 5 is going to come around.
Yeah.
They're going to make a couple more trades. I think Brendan Lau is on the market. There's going to be a significant turnover of names, but you're seeing it everywhere. And one thing that surprised me was they brought in Jake Fraley and they DFA'd him and Chris Morrell. Now,
Yeah.
I think I've told you this before, where I didn't think Chris Morrell was the centerpiece of the trade that they made with the Cubs. There's a minor league pitcher that I firmly believe was the guy they were targeting the whole time. So I'm not completely shocked. I'm just more shocked they couldn't find a trade for him, right? And
Mhm.
so yeah, every team, there's a lot of people being DFA'd that are a little bit eye-opening sometimes, and there's going to be a lot of talent to kind of sift through that's laying around right now that's getting, the roster crunches are real.
Oh yeah.
It's not a joke. It's yeah, people are signing minor league deals and just trying to get AAA time so that they can earn their way back, basically.
Well, it's exciting because it's like I said, change is imminent for the Rays, and it does seem to be spreading across all of MLB.
Mhm.
And I do want to take a moment though to acknowledge something we're going to do more with in the future, and that's the WPBL, Women's Pro Baseball League. They will have their first draft tomorrow. Tomorrow, the four teams they'll be starting with. There's, let's see, I know down at JetBlue in Fort Myers, they're going to have a watch party. So that in itself is going to be pretty cool to see how that all plays out. Let's see here. I got some more things I want to talk about with that. Kind of give you an idea of what this league is like. Most of you may have already seen some of this. The draft tomorrow is going to consist of 6 rounds. There's only 4 teams. There's going to be 20 picks per round, 5 per team, and it goes up to like 120 players. And it's going to snake up and down. So you start out with San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Boston. Then Boston gets not only the 4th pick, they get the 5th and goes back up. So that's going to be how that draft works in that particular part of it. Says not necessarily all players are going to be guaranteed roster spots rather, or contracts. And the teams have the right to trade drafted players after January 1st, 2026. So this is going to be the first year, and there's a lot of talent out there. It started out earlier this year over at, what is it, Washington Nationals Park. They had about 600 players. They had to try to filter through because there's like 130 now that are going to be involved with this draft. And I talked to some of the people who were making decisions on the players that were going to be filtered down. They said it was difficult. They had a very, very sharp window and so much talent. And you're given a glimpse of a person. And you can't necessarily judge on just one instant of the person. There were certain people by their name, you knew that their talent was and they were going to be there. So I'll look forward to seeing some of them. Some of them like Kelsey Whitmore. There's
Mhm.
also a name like who is very popular and is coming back, and that's Monet Davis. There's quite a few young Canadian players too uh, that I look forward to seeing on there as well. So that's going to be part of it. So I hope to be having. I was looking at going down there tomorrow for the watch party, but one of the folks from the WPBL said she could possibly set up a call or two for me on Friday with a player or a manager, and I'll see what I can do to get that. And I want to try to maybe get them on together with both of us here in the future. But the Women's Pro Baseball League starting up, boys and girls, and You can watch the draft tomorrow on their TikTok and on, I believe, their YouTube channels too. Just go to their website. It is an exciting new time for baseball. We're talking about what's going on with Baseball United. There's this, and I know MLB supporting a softball league in the future. So there's always something going on, man.
So it begs the question, like with the CBA coming up, how much of that is going to play into things? And you're seeing the sport enjoy a run of success at a time when people are like completely distracted, right? So it's great to see. And I love the fact that the WPBL is getting off the ground. And hopefully a lot of people do tune in and a lot of people do watch the games and go to the games and make that grow.
Right.
If you can get the WPBL to be up to even double the teams, let's say you get to 8, right? At that point, you're talking about solid TV deals and more like at least to the same level as what the CFL and that's the Canadian Football League. There are only 9 teams right now, I think, and they're trying to find a 10th. I think they might go to Halifax eventually. But it costs a lot of money to get that off the ground. And so hopefully they're able to get the funds from this season to get in there.
I hope so. It's going to be interesting too if the CBA, if we wind up having where we don't have baseball because of the CBA is not being set. I think back to COVID and when I was watching KBO Korean baseball, and I'm people, if you love the game, you're going to find it. So I encourage MLB and the Players Association to find an agreement because we're going to find baseball somewhere, boys and girls. But we'd love to keep the MLB there too. So exciting times with the Women's Pro Baseball League with the draft tomorrow. Check it out. And we'll be covering more of that in the future here on Baseball Biz on Deck as well.
I want to throw out one more thing because we're talking about access to baseball.
Yeah.
And so they brought out the broadcasting rights today.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark, somebody listed the amounts of subscriptions that you would have to watch all of the Yankees games, right? And it was ridiculous. It's like 7 different networks, I think, that you had to be signed up for and have on hand.
Send me that. I want to put that in the notes because go ahead. I mean, there's probably more to that, but
no, but yeah, like I think you're more onto that topic than I am. But the broadcasting issue, the reason I bring it up like this is the MLS decided to make it accessible to everyone now. You don't have to sign up to a subscription. They're just a deal with Apple. They're on Apple, and that's it. Yeah, as long as you have Apple, you're now getting MLS. So that's going to be a huge draw for people to actually say, well, whoa, okay, well, I've got MLS. I've got the access to all the games. That's the way it should work.
You
pick one, you get the contract, and they're all accessible. There's no blackouts, right?
I'm there with you. And I read something earlier today too about Manfred, MLB, and ESPN and the disagreement that's going on there. So send me that link. I'll put it in the show notes because I think it needs further investigation. And upon looking at that, I think we need to get Craig Calcaterra back on here because he certainly has an idea about how a lot of this is going on. And he's got a bit of pinch, maybe share on what should be done with MLB on that as well. So anyway.
It's crazy.
All right, brother. Well, go ahead and we'll bring it to a close. And thank you all again for joining us here today on Baseball Biz on Deck. Mr. Matt here, Jermaine, and myself, Mark. And we look forward to talking with you guys again real soon.
I think we need Mr. Matt and Mr. Mark t-shirts.
You have been listening to Baseball Biz on Deck. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed this show, go ahead, like, and subscribe to Baseball Biz on Deck. Also, you can find Matt at matgermain.b Sky Social. That's Matt at matgermain.b Sky Social, or Mark at baseballbizondeck.b Sky Social. You may also find Baseball Biz on Deck at iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and at baseballbizondeck.com. Special thanks to XTakeRUX for the music, Rocking Forward.